the channel, go ahead and give me a subscribe and a follow. And today's video, we're actually going to go ahead and talk about, if you see on my screen right now, according to the article Empower.com, 37% of Americans can't afford an emergency expense over $400, according to Empower Research. And the article actually goes into more detail. 60% of millennials are stressed out about financial emergency striking. And it talks about some 37, so according to Greenwood Village, July 2nd, 2024, 37% of Americans can't afford an unexpected expense over $400. And almost a quarter, 21%, have no emergency savings at all, according to Empower Research. Not all surprises are good, and people know it. The study suggests financial precarity at a time when household finances can be stretched due to rising prices and inflation, says Rebecca Rickert, head of communications at Empower. Life happens, and people are stressed out about the surprise expenses that could tip them over balance. In fact, right here, the article continues to say, in fact, 1 in 4, 25% of people, dipped into emergency savings to cover basic living expenses in the past year, guys. The median emergency savings for Americans is $600, meaning that it's not the average, but the median, right? The middle person, right? Has $600 in savings. Men have double the stores compared to women, with a median of $1,000 versus $500. And then the article goes on and talks about for 62%, having a dedicated emergency savings is priority, yet nearly half, 47% of people, say regular monthly expenses are too high for them to put money away. And this is a trend, guys, that we're seeing across the board with everybody, right? Is that people are struggling across the board. When you go to like Google inflation rates and it talks about, oh, inflation is only 2% or 3%, dude, guys, listen, they're comparing that 3% change or 2% change to the difference between 2024 and 2023. But they're not doing it between 2024 going back to 2020, right? And that's how you have to really determine inflation. It's not going to be, well, what was the difference between like 2023 and 2024? Oh, it was only like 3.5%. Okay, good. Let's put that in our report. No, guys, that's not it. That's not the real inflation that people actually feel is over a span of 4, 5, 6 years. That's what they actually need to report on, and they don't report on that, guys. So I digress. So Americans agree that being able to weather unexpected financial needs create a sense of financial happiness, and many are taking steps to plan for the unplanned. Okay, and then right here, despite economic hardships, nearly half, 43% of Americans, and 51% of baby boomers have contributed to their rainy day fund within the last year. Though just 14% contributed regularly, there may be a silver lining. 34% believe they could handle an emergency expense that arises. That's pretty wild, guys. So it just goes to show you that things are getting more expensive, right? We all know this. So I'll have a video right here I'm going to show you guys now on YouTube. So let's go ahead and watch this.
It's making it harder for Americans to cover emergencies. A survey from Lending Club found Americans don't have enough money to cover a $400 emergency. $400 is the Federal Reserve's measurement for the financial well-being of U.S. households. But researchers say that number is just outdated since emergency expenses average $1,700.
Wow. You guys saw that article? It's not even 400, guys. It's not even 400 like this article says. Right? They're saying the average emergency expense is $1,700 in 2024, guys. So how many Americans have that? Right? That's obviously new data that needs to be considered in these reports. So let's see. What's the next article we're going to talk about today? All right. So according to Reuters.com, sharp slowdown in U.S. job growth boosts unemployment rate to 4.3%. Okay? And we all know, and I'm pretty sure you guys know this, that when someone stops looking for employment, they're taken off the unemployment list. So if someone got laid off 8 months ago, 9 months ago, and they still haven't been able to find a job, then they're considered not unemployed in the report. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so sharp slowdown in U.S. job growth boosts unemployment rate to 4.3%. Pretty wild. You guys want to watch this? Let's see. We got an ad, so actually I'll probably just read it. Okay, so in summary, non-farm payrolls increased by 114,000 in July, and then unemployment rate rises to 4.3% from 4.1 in June, and then average hourly earnings gain of 0.2%, up 3.6% year on year. So, according to Washington, August 2nd, Reuters, the unemployment rate jumped to near a 3-year high of 4.3% in July, amid a significant slowdown in hiring. Heightening fears in the labor market was deteriorating and potentially making the economy vulnerable to a recession. The increase in the unemployment rate from 4.1 in June marked the fourth straight increase, the Labor Department reported on Friday. Guys, this is a conspiracy. This is Labor Department's reporting this. Its rise from a 5-decade low to 3.4 in July. Let's see. Now the highest level since 2021, all but guarantees a September interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve, with economists calling for a 50 base point reduction in borrowing cost. They argue that the U.S. central bank is most likely behind the curve in easing monetary policy, which we all know they just actually cut rates. And that's actually because of my next article I'm going to get into. So next article we're going to push to, guys, is going to be from CBSNews.com, titled Key U.S. Inflation Gauge shows prices cooled in August, raising likelihood of more rate cuts. So what exactly does that mean, guys? So if the Fed's already talking about wanting to cut the rates, they already did, and they're wanting to discuss more about cutting rates, that's probably telling you guys that the economy is not good. The economy is lagging dramatically due to the increased rates and the economic slowdown that's happening across the board. I mean, almost every sector you see a slowdown, guys. I mean, I talk to people all day, whether it's people in real estate, construction, service industry. I mean, everyone, sales, everyone's getting hit right now, guys. So, and for the then we go on and say that, oh, yo, by the way, unemployment's only 4%. Oh, by the way, inflation's only like 2.5 to 3%. Guys, come on. Let's use some common sense here, guys. It's a lot higher than that. But anyways, this article, like I said, CBS News, key U.S. inflation gauge shows prices cooled in August, raising likelihood of more rate cuts. It goes on. It talks about, let's see. All right, the Federal Reserve preferred inflation measure on Friday provided that the latest sign that price pressures are erasing, a trend that is expected to fuel further Fed rate cuts this year. Prices rose from 0.1% from July to August, the Commerce Department said, down from the previous month, 0.2 increase. Compared with a year early, inflation fell to 2.2%, down from 2.25. from 2.5 in July, and barely above the Fed's 2% inflation target. Again, guys, they're using data from like within the last year, like from 2023 to 2024. They're not using 2020 data to 2024 data, okay? Because it would be way higher. Real inflation. The cooling of inflation might be eroding from the president, polling advantage on the economy. In a survey last week by Associated Press, let's see here. Grocery costs barely rose last month, according to Friday's report, and energy costs dropped 0.8%, led by cheaper gasoline. So, yeah, guys, inflation's not going away. Sticky inflation is yesterday's problem. Samuel Toms, chief U.S. economist at Pantheon Macroeconomics, said in research note. Let's see. Yeah, guys, I mean, look, inflation's not going away. We all know this, okay? It's not going away. And you got to prepare yourself at the end of the day, because the powers that be aren't gonna be able to help everybody, right? They're going to help themselves. They're going to help the too big to fail. And that's it, really, at the end of the day. I mean, you have to really, truly, focus on how you're going to make more money, guys, at the end of the day, because that's what this is all about, guys. This is why I cover news and conspiracies and random topics, because really you have to be aware, guys. You have to be aware. So I'm going to cover this last YouTube video right here. This is from YouTuber Michael Botanero, and let's listen to a little bit of what he has to say.
Including the Fed themselves. In fact, some of the unemployment predictions for moving into the end of the year are already close to 4.5%. So if that were to happen, then we would literally see unemployment tick up an entire percentage point within the span of a year. And when you look at this chart, you can see that in all past recessions, the unemployment kind of goes up a little bit, then a lot by a lot, all at once. Even according to the economists at the New York Fed themselves, they believe that the economy has a 56% chance of tipping into a recession by June of next year. So they're predicting that there's more than half of a chance that we're going to be in a recession in a year from now. And I think that probability is going to continue to climb, because what's going to happen is we're going to see unemployment continue to climb throughout the rest of the year, and maybe even into next year. And before you know it, we'll probably be in that recession.
Yeah, so I agree with him, actually. I agree with him hands down. I mean, because if you look at it, to recap, guys, look, most Americans can't afford a $400 expense, right? And then in the other video we watched, they did a study. It's not even $400, guys. It's actually more than $400, the average expense that's an emergency, right? It's more like $1,700. So really, most Americans aren't able to afford an emergency expense based off the data. And then you get to this next article that I covered right here. Sharp slowdown in U.S. job growth boosts unemployment rate to 4.3%. Guys, this isn't even accurate, because this is not including people that have just given up on work, okay? So, but we have to go off this number, because this is what the government's using. So, and it's being reported on official numbers. So, but even these official numbers are showing that it's starting to spike. So you have to consider the fact that if unemployment's starting to spike, we're going into fourth quarter of 2024. You have to realize that now we're going into the slow season of a lot of these industries. So, this number 4.3 is probably going to climb, in my opinion. Okay, and then you go to this next article that I covered from CBS News. Key U.S. inflation gauge shows prices cooled in August, raising likelihood of the Fed. Yeah, the Fed has to do more rate cuts to keep the economy from overheating, because the economy is grinding to a halt right now, guys. It has been for the last few months. So, look, guys, if you like this content, I'm going to go and wrap it up. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it. I talk about, like I said, news, conspiracies, and pretty much anything that's random that matters to you and to me. So, I'd appreciate if you can subscribe, give me a follow and a share, and like I said, I try to put content out to you guys every single day, so I'd appreciate if you can support the channel, guys. All right. On that note, I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.